Hello everybody, welcome to the newest episode of In English Please. And as always, I'm going to give you a couple of words that we used before so you can listen. So one of the first words that we use is a doozy. When something is a doozy, is something that is so unique, something that is different, something that is cool. Then we use the word decrepit. And actually, I mispronounced this word. I said decrepit, which is not decrepit, it's decrepit, which is something that is very old. Then we got glossy. Glossy is something shiny and smooth. Imagine that a lot of people use something called gloss on their lips, and it leaves your lips shiny, and they look beautiful. Another expression that we use is in the blink of an eye. Something that happens in the blink of an eye happens very fast. Then we got the word over here, kneel. When you kneel, you stand on your knees. A lot of people do this when they pray. Then we got the expression tirade. A tirade is a collection of words that you say when you are angry, like, you're talking and talking and talking, you know? That's a tirade. And finally, I use the expression a lot, I can't even. When you can't even, it's because you cannot believe what is happening. You are so surprised that you cannot believe what is happening. I can't even. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this new episode. We had a lot of fun. We got very passionate about a couple of things, but thanks so much for listening to me, and I'll leave you with ourselves in the past. All right? Bye. Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of In English Please. And today's episode is going to be a doozy. We're going to get really passionate about some things. As you know, we are teachers, so today we're going to talk about our colleagues, but not the good ones, not the one that makes us proud. No, today we're going to talk about the worst teachers that we have ever had. So as you can imagine, we're going to get really, really passionate. And before we start, I want you guys to think about your worst teachers, okay? Who has been the worst teacher that you can remember? What bad qualities did they have? Did they teach you when you were in primary school, secondary, or high school, or maybe at university? And can you guess how it's going to be for us? All right. So let's get started. This is our top 5 worst teachers that we have ever had. Top 5 that is going to be like more than 5.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, I'm not going to be saying names because, well, I don't actually remember the name of most of my teachers. And probably you don't care about their names.
Okay. Well, I will be saying a few names because they were such terrible teachers that some of them, I don't remember the name of the subjects they taught. Okay. And also, I don't remember having a lot of bad teachers. I am pretty sure that I had some, but my memory is not the best. So I did some research with my friends and asked them to tell me some of their worst teachers. Therefore, I came with a pretty interesting compilation for this top 5.
All right. So let's get started. In fifth place is a teacher that I had at university. All right, we're going to start at university. And when you're starting uni, I think that everybody's like full of energy and you want to learn new things. Finally, it's something that you like. And everything is something new. Now you're an adult, you feel so empowered. And I think that That's the reason why this teacher made it into the list. Now, this lady, we used to call her, and you got to understand, teenagers are sometimes very, very cruel. So we used to call her Moonra, a nickname that we gave her inspired by the cartoon called The Thundercats. Mumra is a mummy that is covered with bandages and who is freaking old and decrepit. All right. And of course, we call this teacher Mumra because, well, she looked very old and decrepit. Like I said, we were all freaking idiots back then. All right. Anyways, she was our teacher during the first couple of years at university. And I remember that she taught us a subject that was absolutely amazing. The name of the subject was English, Culture, and History. And I gotta tell you that I love history. It's one of my favorite subjects of all time. And this lady, she grabbed this amazing subject and she made it so freaking boring. It was a chore going to that class. She spoke really slowly. You couldn't hear anything because her voice was very low. And she used the same presentations over and over and over again. It was boring. It was boring as freaking hell. And I think that that's one of the characteristic of what I would call a bad teacher. Somebody that is boring, somebody that is their voice is flat and they make you feel like the subject is, and they make you
Like a
feel
robot.
exactly like the subject is not important. And not only that, they can make a good subject into something boring. She made culture one of the most important things about learning a new language boring. Like, there were so many good activities and some good topics, and I want to cry. I feel frustrated. Just remember that. And I like history. Can you imagine somebody that didn't like history? They would find the class like unbearable.
Yeah. Well, I can remember a teacher kind of like the one you were saying. He would be my fifth place. He was my history of art teacher. His nickname was pan de leche, milky bread, or something like that in English. Okay. Well, the nick was because of his ultra white, pale skin. This was an ancient nickname. I have to say, because later I knew that he was also a teacher at the school back when my parents were in
What the
high
heck?
school. Yeah, so freaking old, the dude. This teacher never, but never, never, never went to school to teach. I remember that I bought my history of art book. It was a very, very expensive and gorgeous book with magazine quality pages. The pictures were bright, shiny, and glossy. I only opened it like twice in the whole semester, you know? Usually, he never arrived at the classroom, okay? And when he did, he just talked about everything except the subject. Um, he was gay, so he always had his favorite male students to carry his stuff like papers and portfolio to his car. Seeing that nowadays, it was kind of creepy, you know? It was a pretty bad teacher who was never interested in teaching anything about his subject and did things which nowadays I think maybe were cataloged as harassment.
Yeah, I, I, I wouldn't say maybe. I would say that
Yeah,
for sure.
totally. Yeah.
That will be called
Absolutely.
harassment.
Totally.
Yeah, freaking creep.
Yeah.
Then we got fourth place, all right? In fourth place, this was a teacher that I met when I was in high school, and this was an English teacher. He was probably the teacher that made me want to be a language teacher, just so I could be completely different from what this pseudo teacher did. But I didn't know at the time, but his classes were freaking bad. I can't remember his name, but he was my teacher during second year of high school. And I mean, I understand that teaching English in a public school is very difficult because the classes are very mixed. That is that there are students of all kinds of levels, and there's not enough interest. A lot of students, they don't simply care. They've never studied English, so they don't care. But this guy, he didn't even try. He would just give us a piece of text, or he would show us movies. I remember that he showed us the 4,400 or something like that in English, and that's it. No instructions, nothing. Just watch the movie. Good luck. And
Wow.
hello, what do we do? He simply didn't care about his subject, and he didn't care about any of us. And I mean, English is interesting. I love English, and I've been studying English for a long time. So for me, it was like a breeze. I would go to sleep during that class. But I can imagine how demotivated a lot of the other students had to be.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Well, my number four was also in high school. She was an English teacher too, an old lady, I remember. She never gave me classes, but a lot of my friends had classes with her. And I know from their experiences that this lady used to smoke in the classroom. Smoke in the classroom. I mean, inside the classroom. And it was forbidden back then, you know? But she was such a heavy smoker that she just couldn't stop smoking even in her workplace.
What the? What? I mean, imagine if that were to happen right now. You will be fired. Like,
Yeah,
you will be fired in an instant.
in less than one day, in less
Yeah, no,
than
less
two
than.
days,
No, you wouldn't finish the first week.
30
And
minutes.
I remember when you could smoke inside malls or you could smoke inside bars, but
Yeah,
I never heard about someone smoking inside the classroom. That's another level.
yeah, you could even smoke inside the airplanes, in the flights, you know?
That is true. What the heck?
Wow, o sea, wow, in the office, in the jobs, in everywhere. Wow,
That's pretty insane.
yeah, for sure. If something like that happened nowadays, she would be out of a job in the blink of an eye, you know? But back then, the students didn't complain a lot with the principal. I guess we saw it like, well, that is just how things are, right? So not only was she a bad teacher, she was also a heavy smoker. And another story from those high school days was a teacher who everyone called Just for Men. The nickname was Just for Men because he was identical to the guy who announced that product on TV. For those that don't know, Just for Men is a hair dye for men. Well, I don't remember which was his subject, but one day the class was discussing non consensual sexual relationships. He said, and I quote, "If you are being raped, just enjoy it." What? This was a serious topic, you know? And he made a chauvinistic joke that even in those days, a lot of my classmates, including me, considered pretty sad and stupid. I think with time, he deconstructed because he is my Facebook friend nowadays. And now he totally supports the feminist movement and other good social causes. So this story has a sort of a happy ending and also a teaching. No matter how old you are and how chauvinistic was the environment where you grew up, it is never too late to change and deconstruct those old and violent ideas.
What the what the F? Like, dude,
Yeah.
forget about getting canceled. If you were to say something like that right now, you would get blasted into the stratosphere. Like you would blasted. And well, no, I cannot. And at least it
Yeah.
makes me happy, to know that he has changed his way, and that now he's a lot more supportive of different social causes. Like you said, it goes to show that we can all become better versions of ourselves. And I mean, we've all been idiots at some point in
Yeah.
the past.
All of us.
It doesn't matter. The important thing is we can learn and
And
we can
grow.
become better people. Exactly, we can learn and grow. All
Yeah.
right, so I think that is the most important thing about that story, that you can change, doesn't matter
Yeah.
how old you are. Pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
All right, so let's continue on to place number 3. So I think that in third place we have another teacher from high school. Now this guy, he was my philosophy teacher.
Mm.
Okay, so first of all, philosophy is awful. It's
Tough
an awful
subject.
subject.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tough
yeah, it's
subject.
difficult. There's no way around it. Philosophy, at least in my opinion, is boring as all hells. The subject is very heavy, it's very dry, and it's not even that they were teaching us how they arrive at those thoughts or anything like that, or the context. They were just teaching us like past philosophers and their school of thought, and that's it. It was freaking boring. But that's not all. At least if it's part of history and if you make it interesting, if you talk about the circumstances and everything that surrounds this person, well, you can kind of explain why this person thinks that way, or why these philosophers had these ideas, right? That would be
Yeah.
cool, or at least interesting. It will be also good to, understand the environment, the people, and all that jazz. But no. This guy, oh my god. This guy was the principal at another school. And as you can imagine, he had friends in very high places. So obviously, he wasn't there because he was a good teacher or anything like that. In fact, he was the opposite. He was quite bad as a teacher, and he was also quite bad as a person, let me tell you. The worst part was that he used to arrive at the classes freaking drunk.
My God.
But not like he drank a little bit and he was a little bit tipsy. No, he would arrive wasted, stinking of alcohol, speaking like a baby. Let me tell you, that doesn't speak very well of you. And I remember this one time when everybody had to do a presentation. Now, at that time, computers were not very common. At least laptops weren't. And we had to use cardboard and we had to use big pieces of paper. And my God, I'm so old. Anyways, everybody was going to give a short presentation. So the teacher walked to the back of the classroom, all right? And he sat down and he put on his sunglasses. Sunglasses, okay? And we started, like the first team got to the front, started, and everybody, and it went great. It was cool. And there was applause. And the teacher was like, "Good job." And that's it. Then
Okay.
came the second team. And as they started showing the information, we heard a strange sound coming from the back of the room. And everybody was like, what? What is going on? The team stops, and everybody at the same time turns towards the teacher, and we hear it again.
My God, he was snoring.
A big ass snore
What?
came from the teacher. Everybody was like shocked. Let me tell you, shocked. Everybody paused, and what the heck? Another snore. Everybody
Another one.
started everybody started clapping, and when they started clapping, he was like, good job, good job, good job. Like he had no idea what was going on.
He
Everybody
was
started
sleeping.
laughing. It was freaking bizarre. It was bizarre. I will never forget that. And yeah, he was a useless philosophy teacher. I never learned anything. I flunked philosophy because of him. And because I was a little lazy, I have to say, I was a little lazy, right?
Okay.
Uh, till this day, I still don't like philosophy. I still don't like philosophy until this day.
Okay. I have an anecdote similar to yours, but with a university teacher. I don't remember the name of the subject he taught. I only remember his last name, Turueva. He was very, very fat, obese, I would say, and he would always arrive at the classroom and he would sit and fall asleep, fall completely asleep. He also snored like your teacher. But this teacher made falling, and he would sit and fall asleep. He also snore like your teacher. But this teacher made falling asleep in classes something so normal and usual that in the end, nobody cared. And we had fun talking to each other and doing other stuff that had nothing to do with the subject. I like to think that we had a gentleman's agreement with him. We would let him sleep peacefully, and he would let us just have a free hour and good grades. It was so terrible that I don't even remember the name of the subject. I can't remember. Imagine that. Another freaking boring teacher's story is about the Spanish teacher from seventh grade. And my boyfriend had this old lady as a teacher who was the mother of one of our previous governors, Rolando Zapata Bello. Well, he tells me that this teacher spent more than half of her class talking about yes, the political party, and how great her son was and all the good things that were coming for him. I guess she was an oracle or something like that, because in fact, her son became the freaking governor. But the important thing is not that her predictions were accurate, but the fact that she never taught Spanish and preferred to spend her time talking about her life and her son's life. Pathetic, totally pathetic.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about I don't care, lady. I think we all like hearing about our teachers' lives sometimes, but not all day, every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, some teachers are like that. Anyway, let's continue into the second place, and oof, things are going to get bad. So, to get into the second worst teacher that I ever had, we have to go back in time. But we have to go back in time a lot. We have to go till I was in fourth grade in primary school. I was 9 years old at the time, maybe 10, I
You
think.
were so little.
Yeah, I was very young. Anyways, now that I work with children, I gained a bigger understanding of, teachers that work with children all the time. And the truth is, I think that these people are amazing. Working with children is difficult. It's hard work, and most of the time, their parents don't give a flying fuck. Like, they don't care. And the teachers are amazing. At least most of them. The thing is, not every teacher is awesome, and that is a fact. And that one, the one that was my teacher when I was in fourth grade, she was not an awesome teacher. She was not even passable, I would say. She used to scream and yell at us, you know? I remember that very well. Now, when I was in primary school, I was a little bit chubby. I mean, I'm not the paragon of fitness right now. I'm still quite a bit chubby, but I was a lot fatter at the time. And this teacher, she used to call me fat. She used to call me names and things like that, you know? Like, this wouldn't happen nowadays. She would be out of a job faster than you can snap your fingers.
Totally.
But at the same time, it was like nobody cares. And she used to mock me, she used to make fun of me. Nowadays, there is a big culture against bullying, and as a teacher, you're supposed to protect your students, not bully them. I would never dream of making my students feel anything less than awesome. But this person, I don't know. I think that she had a lot of issues herself. That's why she took it out on the kids. But yeah, it was very bad.
My God, this story makes me feel so mad, so mad at that woman. Freaking crazy, dude. I'm sorry you were bullied by a teacher. I mean, like, totally sorry for that. Being bullied by another student is pretty bad, but getting bullied by a fucking adult who is supposed to be teaching you an authority which you are supposed to feel safe with and trust, I can imagine. I can imagine. Hope she burns in fucking hell from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. I see we enter a deep and different class of bad teachers. I can tell a few stories with crazy, insane teachers like that one. First, when I was in third grade, I had a very old lady as a teacher. In third grade, I was like, I think, 8 years.
Yeah, probably.
And yeah, her name was Irma, teacher Irma, maestra Irma. I'm talking about 1994, you know. Back then, a lot of things that today would be canceled in those days were very normal. Um, well, this old lady had some ways to punish that weren't correct. My boyfriend was in that classroom with me, uh, and he was a bit hyperactive. So he always was in detention. But I remember one time that the teacher sent him to kneel on bottle caps, you know, bottle caps, but not the ones made of plastic, the ones from crystal bottles made of aluminum, which had sharp and edges, you know, like a freaking medieval punishment, like freaking torture, dude. Things like that were so normal in the old days. I remember classmates standing directly in the sun, holding heavy books in each arm for several minutes. It might not sound so terrible, but don't forget we were kids of maybe 7 or 8 years old. And those punishments were stupid and totally senseless.
Yeah, those were the days. Like, every time I hear somebody say, I miss the old days, mate, I'm like, dude,
What happened to you?
people, yeah, people used to think that it was okay to hit children as if they were piñatas, you know? Like, take
Yeah.
your fucking nostalgia and shove it up your ass because you are freaking crazy. The old days don't exist. Those days were insane.
Yeah, people used to romanticize past. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, no, these people are no. Don't romanticize the past. Doesn't work that way. But
No.
anyways, I'm sorry. I get a little bit excited. I'm
Yeah.
getting, but I'm getting frustrated. So yeah, that is one of the very worst teachers I've ever had. But imagine that the person that we set in second place doesn't take the first place,
Wow.
because the person that is in first place is on a whole different level. It's like a completely different kind of worms. She's what I consider the worst teacher I've ever had by far. And this happened when I was in first grade of secondary school. It was 2001, I think. It was the year of the attack on the Twin Towers in the United States, you know? I remember that year quite a bit. Everybody remembers that year.
Yeah.
I was studying at a private school. It's a quite famous school here in Merida, and it was an okay school. I wouldn't say it was a fantastic school. You know, it's a school, good times, bad times, like everywhere else. And although they did have a big case of bullying going on, but like I said before, bullying was not addressed like it is nowadays. It was also, and it was also mostly behind the scenes, like not in front of the teachers or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I mostly stay out of it because I try to avoid people. I think that I had been traumatized by my teacher at primary school, so I tended to avoid standing out. Anyways, let's get back to the teacher at hand. She was a civics teacher. Imagine that. She was a civics teacher. And as a teacher, she wasn't good, she wasn't bad, she was mediocre at best. The thing that made her the actual worst teacher I've ever had is something that she did during one of her classes. I will always remember, and this is burned into my mind. This is something that marked me, and I think that it marked a lot of other students. Now, I think that that day she was having an off day. I remember that she was very angry. And sometimes you just have a day off, an off day, you know? Sometimes
Yeah.
you're angry and you just want to take it out on somebody else. Now, obviously, students at that age, I think that we were like 13 or 14, just like every other teenager, are starting to get rowdy. Hormones are starting to kick in. Everything starts being sexual. Like the jokes are sexual, everything starts getting cruder. So I don't remember what the conversation was, but I remember clearly that she started talking about, let's say, petting the cat, you know, polishing wood, softening the pitch, you know, tapping into your potential, you know.
Yeah.
She started talking about pleasuring yourself. Let's put it that way. And I remember that started saying something like, if you continue pleasuring yourselves, you would all go to hell.
Well.
And okay, okay, lady. Now that is bad, but it gets worse. She continued her tirade saying that that was the reason there were so many gay people in the world. And that if we continue, we will become twisted, evil people like those gays.
Wow. That was hard.
People, I can't even. Like, I can't. I can't even. She continued saying that gay people were like that because they had masturbated so much that they had become twisted. My friends, if I have one regret in my life, it's not standing up in that moment and telling that teacher, lady, go F yourself. You know? You can shove your ideas when the sun doesn't shine. Like, it gets me so freaking angry to think that we were kids. Like, barely teenagers. And this effing person was trying to instill fear into us and trying to make us hate other people. I cannot imagine how many of my partners were traumatized by that. how many of them were actually of a different sexual orientation or maybe non-gender conforming, and they had to hate themselves, and they spent years of their lives hating themselves because of these few stupid comments. Like, how many of them felt less than human because of her? I can't even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, at that moment, everybody was shocked and nobody said anything. And that was it. We continue our class as if nothing had happened. I cannot understand how can you be so hateful towards other people, you know? As a teacher, I always try to make my classroom a very welcoming place. But that memory is going to be forever stuck with me. And I will never be able to erase those words from my mind. So it was atrocious. It was so bad.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. Pretty awful. Okay. Well, my number one is a pretty disturbing memory of a friend of mine. She actually suffers from attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. But back then, those disorders were not attended to or made visible. So she was like 7 years old and was taking something like religious classes to do her first Holy Communion. She's a Catholic. And she used to stand up a lot and go talk to her classmates. So one day the teacher scolded her, and as punishment, the teacher tied her to a chair with tape, masking tape, scotch tape, thick duct tape. The teacher didn't have one hand. So she asked another students help. The class ended and the teacher left without untying her. She left her there tied to a chair. My friend remembers that her classmates had to return with a pair of scissors to help to set her free while she was crying like crazy. She described this episode as the most traumatizing event in her life, literally.
What?
Yeah.
Holy guacamole. Like, there are some bad teachers out there, and yeah, oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah.
And these stories are just the tip of the iceberg. Some teachers in the past, they used to be something else, you know? Yeah, they were pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a very exciting episode. But maybe not exciting, but most like yes, stressing
Yeah.
episode. Anyways, uh, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to us. And I hope that you enjoyed our stories. And if you have your own stories, let us know. We want to hear more about bad teachers. And thank you very much for listening today. Thank you very much for listening today. And if you enjoyed our video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and share with other people that might want to practice their listening. All right? For now, thank you very much for coming and see you next time. Bye.